Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your girl Alicia X Life, and today I'm going to be teaching you all you need to know about artifacts. More so for beginners, and then I'm going to get to the advanced stuff near the end. So, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. I go live here every single day, and I also upload daily on YouTube. So, check it all out here, and let's get into things. Let's talk about artifact types. So, there are different types of artifacts. We have 5 in total. There is the flower, which gives you your main stat, which is HP. It also has really cool substats. Depending on which one you get for substats is what determines if you're going to roll on that artifact or not. We'll talk about rolling artifacts later. Let's talk about plumes. Plumes give you flat attack as your main stat, and they also have bonus stats as well, similar to how we talked about flowers. Plumes and flowers are the easier ones for you to deal with because they are in relation to whatever set pieces you want to run, which we'll go over that later too. So for now, just know that flower is health and plume, which is the feather, is attack. Next up we have is Sands of Eon, which is the hourglass usually. When it comes to Sands of Eon, this is where you want to kind of focus in on a stat that is really beneficial to your character as a flat stat and not a specialized stat, percentage-wise. So what that means is that I would either go attack percent, I could go HP percentage if I want to, things like that, dependent on which character I'm using. For example, for Zhongli, I would go HP percentage goblet. For Xiao, I'm going attack percentage. Next up we have is our goblet, which is our cup. And when it comes to your cup, you want to focus in on what your character's special attribute is. For example, if I have a character that does anemo damage, I want an anemo goblet. For my Razor, for my Xiao, I actually don't own an anemo goblet yet, so I'm kind of stuck with a 15% anemo from one of my, from having 2 Verdescence, which is the special anemo artifact that gives me 50% bonus anemo damage. On top of that though, I run a 4 different types of elements comp, which gives me bonus 15% resonance, which gives me 30% animal resonance, just because of my team comp, but eventually I want to get it up to about 60-70%. Alright, now it's time to talk about set bonuses for artifacts. Alright, so here we go with Gladiator's Finale, my personal favorite set to run for most of my characters. It gives you bonus 18% attack on your 2-piece set, and if you run a 4-piece set, it gives the wielder of this artifact, who uses a sword, claymore, or polearm, increased normal attack damage by 35%. Now, the huge thing about this to understand is that when you're running any set, you can run 2 and 2, you can run 4 of one kind, some of them have only a 1-piece bonus as well, but there's a reason why sets work in 5 when it comes to you having 5 artifacts. Having 4 that work together is really important, but your 5th one is your goblet. Your goblet / cup can be any type. It doesn't need to match the synergy of your other stuff because what you're going for is the better main stat. For example, if I was running gladiators on, if I was running, let's say Thundering Fury, which is a totally different artifact set, and I was running a 4-piece of that on my Razor, and I wanted to use a physical damage goblet, which does not synergize with it, such as my gladiators, I would run that regardless, even if it doesn't synergize, because what matters more is getting that better main stat, because I already have the 4 pieces from the other thing, from the other artifacts. I hope that makes sense. So basically, to kind of too long didn't read, is 4 of your artifacts should be synergized either in a 2 and 2 or 4 together, and your goblet can be whatever the hell it wants to be as long as it's benefiting your character in either physical damage if you're a physical damage character or an elemental damage if you're an elemental damage character. When it comes to talking about artifacts, there's something that you need to know that applies to every artifact in the entire game. For now, we're going to use the example of a 5-star artifact, is that when you level up artifacts in increments of level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20, it actually gains 1 random attribute per time. For example, I'm leveling this one up to 4, and I gain 1 random attribute as a buff. Currently, it's a really bad attribute, which is getting bonus on flat defense, which is something I wouldn't normally want, but for the sake of this video, let's keep rolling on this artifact. In general, when rolling on artifacts, you want to care a lot about your substats, because the main stat of the artifact is what made you decide to choose it in the first place. An example of this being is I'm playing Razor right now, and I'm rolling on a physical damage bonus cup, which is a goblet. Running physical damage on Razor is super important because it's one of the main parts of his kit. Thus, I'm running this goblet in particular. When it comes to the substats though, this is where things get kind of tricky. What you want to have for an ideal substat for a gauntlet is 2 attributes that you actually like. And in this case, for this goblet, I had one attribute that I was a big fan of, which was my attack percentage. Everything else was pretty much a miss, but I was willing to go all the way for it just because it is a physical damage goblet, and on top of that, it is also a gladiators, which is a set piece that I already run a 4-piece set for, so might as well just go with it for fun. Alrighty, let's talk about substats for artifacts. So, one thing really important to understand is that your base in like core stat, which is the one that's highlighted right here, is the most important stat that you have for any artifact. But another thing to keep in mind is how good is an artifact that you want to roll on. Sure, the stat is really cool, but the substats are what determine if you want to roll on this artifact or not. For example, this is what we call a god artifact. It means that it has 2 of the most wanted assets that you want out of your character. For my Xiao, I want crit rate and crit damage. I got both of those stats as percentage stats, which means that on a massive scale, this is a huge one for me to run. What would make this worse is if I had the same thing, but instead of having crit damage, I had like attack percentage or like more flat defense. Stuff like that makes it an unfavorable one. Even though attack percentage is good and crit rate is good, it doesn't make it a god artifact because it doesn't have 2 of the stats that I desire. Next one we'll go into is another one. This is called a god plume, which also does the same thing again, where it has 2 stats that I want. But not only that, it actually has 4 stats that I want. It has attack percent, crit rate percent, crit damage percent, and energy recharge percent, which means that it is one of the best in the entire game because it has every single thing I want for my character. Thus, you max it out to 20. You level it all the way up as you possibly can and don't care about the money because this is perfect for you, especially since I'm also running this set type, which is Gladiator's Finale. Alright, and next up we have is another really strong piece. This is technically not a god artifact. This one has crit damage in it though, and it has flat stats for the other substats. One recommendation I really want to make is please try to avoid flat substats. They aren't the best for your character. What you want to focus on is percentage substats because they end up helping you when it comes to scaling. So focus on those. Avoid defense. That's one of the worst substats you can get. Especially in this game where you have characters who shield and characters who heal, so you don't really need to worry about your defensive on most of your characters, and a lot of the time HP scales anyways. That helps your characters who are defensive and their shields bonuses as well. BAM! Anyways, I talked a lot there, but that's basically substats in a nutshell. You want to have 2 substats that you prefer because the other ones are RNG when it comes to rolling on the artifact at 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So it shows here on my YouTube analytics that 40% of you aren't subscribed to my channel. I showed you my video, please subscribe, please.